What can I say? Burnout. Burn out, son. We're going to talk about it next here on Prepper Nation. Welcome to Prepper Nation. I am John. Thank you for watching, listening, and subscribing to the channel. Truly means a lot. So, burnout, but not in the way that you think. You probably think that I'm talking about prepping burnout. I'm not. I'm not dealing with prepping burnout right now. We'll call it the grind. How about that? I may even call the video itself the grind. I'm talking about all of the stuff outside of prepping, all of the day-to-day adulthood stuff. I'm burnt out on it. And I'm going to rant on it this morning. So the grind is real. And I know I can't be the only one, right? Some of y'all bound to have kids out there. You bound to have responsibilities. It seems like there's always 10 things that I need to be doing right now, and I only have time for 1 or 2 right now. I'm juggling so much. I had a comment here on the channel the other day, and somebody said, "Man, you look worn down. Take a break from YouTube." Look, man, I appreciate it, but YouTube is my safe haven from the grind. That's what I'm trying to tell you this morning. There's always something to do. There's always something going on. It feels like as soon as I hit the door, the front door, I either have to do some sort of yard work here, something needs to be fixed here, or I fill up the coffee cup and I'm back out the door. And I'm sure some folks out there can relate to that. So, and I realize there are worse problems in the world. People like John, son, quit whining. It's called being an adult, but it will wear you down. And I think it can affect your prepping if you allow it to do so. I don't know. This has been on my mind for the last 24 hours or so. If people are dealing with the grind and the day to day, and they're as tired as I am, because sometimes I have to rob sleep. I've had to rob uh, time from lunch. Can't eat lunch today. Got to do this. Got to do this. Getting to bed 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes, oftentimes, I should say. If people are dealing with that, it may be affecting their prepping, and I just wanted to talk about that this morning. So, um, I don't know. I'm in this mindset right now where the only thing that's really not being affected, believe it or not, is my prepping. How often do you hear that in the prepping community? A lot of people talk about burnout, but they're talking about, "Oh, I'm burned out on prepping. I'm done. I just can't do it anymore, son." But it, for me, I'm on top of the prepping, and I have not allowed the rest of the burnout in my life, the grind, so to speak, to affect this prepping. Um, Honestly, prepping sometimes can feel like a chore. I don't like to go out and water. Sometimes I help my wife and I'll go out, excuse me, and I'll go out and I'll help her water and stuff like this. Um, or I'll help her when she's canning sometimes, this sort of thing. But a lot of things that are prepping related can feel like a chore. Going through bags, which I try and do every couple of months, and see what's in there. Hey, what was I thinking when I put this in the bag, son? This sort of stuff, and just kind of restocking bags and things like this. I don't mind doing it, but sometimes I just don't have time. And I'm sitting down. I'll do it oftentimes in the living room, believe it or not. I'll sit in the recliner and I'll pull a bag up and I'll go through it. And there are 10 other things I need to be doing, but I'm putting prepping first. Because prepping is making sure that me and my family are taken care of. And it's very important. All right. It's not like mowing the grass. It's not like weed eating or going to the garage and getting a car, vehicle taken care of. Um, a lot of the stuff that I mean, we talk about a lot on this channel, don't we? We're all over the place. I'm all over the place this morning. I level with you, but 90% of the time, we're talking about stuff that is evidence that our world is jacked up. Our world is really messed up right now. It's a bad place, and it's gonna get much, much worse. Um, Life in general can be tough. I know some of you are going through some, things right now. I've seen this week in chat alone that you're going through, but maybe you haven't dropped it in chat, and maybe you're going through some personal stuff. Um, and that's life, and it's tough. It sucks. I get it, and it may even get worse before it gets better, but it will get better. But the point this morning is don't allow that kind of stuff to pull you out of prepping, because right now we need to be laser focused on prepping. And sometimes that realistically, sometimes that's hard to do. Sometimes it's hard to stay focused on the prepping because there's so much other stuff going on. I mean, it's not like anything bad is going on in my life. It's just that there's so much, it's chaotic. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's hard to stay focused on prepping, but I have to tell myself, I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to buy this. I need to stack this. Don't allow the rest of the stuff that's going on in your life to pull you away from prepping, because it's very, very important in my opinion. And people sometimes, and I'm not pointing fingers, I'm not saying anybody in this community does it, but people will oftentimes make excuses when it comes to prepping. You know, there are a variety of different excuses. I just don't have the time to prep. I just can't afford to prep. I don't know where to get started with all of this. It's too complicated. I don't understand. There are plenty of good books out there. MD Creekmore has several, but there's also free material that can be researched online. There's no excuse not to know something. All right, I don't know everything either, but I haven't had time to sit down and like literally read the entire internet. But if there's something I don't know, I can find the answer and I can put it to practice and see if it works. There's no excuse, again, I can't afford to prep. Yes, you can. Please don't be one of these people that just continually makes excuses, because throughout my lifetime, what I've discovered is people that constantly make excuses accomplish very little in life. And that's just straight up. There's always an excuse. Well, I had to work all day and I didn't have time to do this or this. Nothing else is ever going to get done. Like nobody's going to do it for you. You have to do it on your own. Don't allow, and let me say this as well. Don't allow friends and family to convince you not to prep. This happens more than I think people understand. Anything from spouses to children to extended family, friends. Oh boy, what friends they are if they're trying to get you to stop prepping, by the way. Just because they don't understand what you're doing, just because they're not forward thinking, they don't want you to do it. Now, if you're hoarding, that's totally different. Maybe your family is stepping in and saying, look, we don't need to keep the empty Hungry Man boxes. We can't repurpose this, son. Maybe if you have a wood stove and you're using it to start a fire, but beyond that, I mean, we really don't need this stuff. Mom, why do we have jars of marbles stacked to the rafters? I'm talking about prepping with purpose. Don't allow somebody to step in and stop you or try and discourage you from handling your business, because you're doing it the right way. If you have that laser focus and you're prepping with purpose, you are doing it right. And it's very important. You can't stop. Not right now. The world's a mess. And for the love of all that is holy in this world, do not allow the government to take care of you. Do not. When the food and the supplies begin to run out and the government is plastering this stuff all over the billboards and all over TV and radio saying, don't buy extra, we'll take care of you. Do not fall into that trap. Okay, look at the government's body of work as a whole. We touched on this earlier this week, but look at everything the government touches and ask yourself, have they touched anything and it turned out really, really well? No, no, it's all institutionalized garbage. do not fall into the trap of the government. Look, if they tell you, "We have plenty, stop buying extra," step back and ask yourself, if they have plenty, why would they need to run this advertisement? If they have plenty, what do they care if people are buying extra? You have to understand the government cares about the government, right? And preventing chaos maybe within the United States. They don't care about feeding you. You're not at the top of the list. Please don't fall into that trap. The way I look at it is my family is my responsibility. I fell into that trap once before. That's what got me into prepping, for those that don't know. Found myself with 2 really small kids. We had a tornado. Oh my God, what are we gonna do? The stores aren't open. There's no grid. The water stops working here when there's no grid. We had very little at home. And I said, there's got to be a better way than this. I mean, it was a nightmare. So my family, as a man in the house, is my responsibility. And this is why I haven't wavered. This is why I've continued to stay focused on prepping, even when the life, the adulting, the grind, as we call it this morning, is beating me down to the ground, son. The grind is beating me down, and I'm still prepping. I'm crawling on the ground trying to prep. Right now, I am stacking survival food, and there's always the debate. Survival food is gruel. This brand versus that brand. This brand's too pricey, yada, yada, yada. I'm stacking what I can afford to stack, and I don't care if it tastes like gruel. I tell y'all straight up, I'm not trying to sell it to you this morning. Most of it is Ready Wise. There's some Oxen Farms as well and some Mountain House, but most of it's Ready Wise because that's the most affordable right now. And I get that it's not great, but to me, my family is better off eating gruel if the food runs out as opposed to eating nothing at all. I'm stacking ammo as I can afford to, and we're stacking extra canned food. These are the 3 focal points right now. And I kind of feel like my wife and I are going to be having a conversation soon. I can already tell she's fence riding on that last one, the canned food, because the survival food and the ammo, I'm buying. I'm actually selling off some of my older games and game systems, consoles, and things that are worth money to stack extra food and ammo as I can afford to do it. The canned food is coming out of our shared account, so I think she's on the fence with this because she understands prepping. She's on board with it, and she understands that it's important to have extra. We don't wanna get caught without, because, again, we lived it. We lived that scenario where we got caught without. She doesn't wanna go through it either, but she also knows that food inflation is real, and it's hitting home here just like every other home out there. I mean, it ain't no joke, man. Food inflation is no joke. Getting back to the Ready Wise for a second, the same buckets that I stacked not even a year and a half ago, they were $79. So they're 140 something right now on sale. When I can find them on sale, they're 140 some dollars. So I mean, it's crazy. And that's just reflective of everything else. Canned beans, canned soup, canned anything right now has went through the roof. And my wife understands this. And I think she's on the fence where she's like, it's important. We need to get extra, but how much extra can we actually afford to buy at the price that it is right now? Because we're not finding a lot of stuff on sale. I mean, we're hitting the stuff like Aldi's and stuff like this, and there's not a lot of stuff on sale in Joe's America. When I get tired, this is my personal strategy, okay? When I get tired, and prepping will tire you, it will wear you down as well. But I wanna stay focused on it because I understand it's important. It's disaster insurance, and I don't wanna get caught without insurance a second time. So when it starts to wear me down, I think about this, and God, I hope this is not the case, but I think worst case scenario, you know, what if Biden's reelected? What if we're sitting here in the middle of 2028 here in the United States, or probably at that time, the former United States of America, because it probably wouldn't last until 2028, what would things look like? How much would food cost? What would be available at that time? How much chaos would be out in the streets? I start thinking about the worst case, because to me, that's the worst case scenario. You leave this kid at, Biden's like a kid at this point. You leave him in there with the watercolor paints and the crayons, and he's just gonna tear stuff up. 3 years of this guy's been enough. Um, but I say, what if we get, what is it, 5 more? I wanna be prepared for that, and I'm gonna have to do the work now in order not to starve in 2028, for my family not to starve in 2028. So the point is, and I'll wrap up now, do not let real life grind you down to the point where it chases you away from prepping. If your life is chaotic, and mine is right now, understand that there are probably other people out there that have chaotic lives too, and they're still finding a way to prep. And I look at it like that. If I'm not the busiest man in the world, sometimes it seems like it. I love to read. You can't be a writer and not love to read. But I've been relegated to reading in my car because I'm in parent pickup lines for 2 hours a day. This is really the only time I have to read now. So I'm multitasking. And sometimes I'm just sitting here like, man, I'm the busiest person on the planet, but I'm not. There are people out there that have much busier schedules than I do who are still prepping. And if they can do it, I can do it. So I kind of use this as inspiration. I don't know. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments and the live chat and stuff like that. If you don't mind, shoot a thumbs up on your way out the door. Tomorrow morning is Saturday, son. And tomorrow morning, there's a video dropping, a premiere, and I'll be in the premiere with y'all. Take care. God bless.